Welcome to the Bolster Podcast. My name's Dan, and I'm here with Baylen, who is one of our valued customers. He's been on Bolster. He's just won a big job. He's in a great mood, I think, and Ryan's in a great mood as well. And yeah, we're just keen to talk to Baylen about what his journey's been like with Bolster, and also, yeah, how he's used the software to do that. So yeah, welcome, Baylen. Do you want to give us a quick intro?
My name is Baylen Morse. Recently joined with Bolster less than a year ago, but it's been great. I haven't been in the construction industry my entire life. I started in the oil field and exited the oil field, and landed in the construction industry. And I needed tools to help me get better, or I needed to cover a lot more ground at a faster rate than most people have been doing in order to catch up where the pack is and try to fall in with them guys and eventually hopefully get ahead, right? Um, but I guess that would be the beginning story of how I came into Bolster.
Yeah, cool, man. And about the business as well. Tell us about, how you got started. Obviously, that transition is going to be huge from the oil field, doing work for someone else, and then being your own boss as well. Tell us about how you got into it and what kind of work you do, like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I started out, I guess, doing, I don't want to say handyman work, but just small odd and end jobs. And um, the jobs, they were growing slowly, but I was looking for something bigger, a bigger purpose. And the wife eventually pressed me to take the general contractor test. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't even know where to study. I went that whole 9 yards, I guess, making excuses. Anyway, she talked me into it, and I went ahead and I took the test, and I did extremely well, and I didn't study. And I was like, man, I didn't realize what I knew, I guess, at the time. And looking back, some of the questions I had just picked up those answers just throughout my life, whether it was working, doing pools or something like that years ago. So anyway, I ended up getting the license, and it's something about whenever you say you're licensed, the bigger jobs start to follow. With the bigger jobs come the bigger estimates, and that's when I started meeting the challenge of, okay, I have all these people who need estimates. Can I whip all these estimates out? Yeah, I can. It'll just take me 8, 9 full days the way I was doing it. So I was looking for a solution. And when I say I will try every single app out there before I make a decision, that's exactly what I did. And at one point, when I found it was cost certified at the time before it was Bolster. I think at that point I was involved with 4 different estimating softwares. Um, and I was just teetering between those 4, looking for the absolute solution. And once I met Ryan, and I forget the other guys' names, but once I met those guys, it was quick. It was really easy to see what the clear option was, especially whenever I specifically remember them making a promise that they could. I had a big project fall into my laps, it was around 30 grand, and it was a remodel. And one of the guys said, I bet you we can have the estimate whipped out in an hour. And I was like, dude, I mean, okay, let's try it. And sure enough, lo and behold, I sat there and they walked me through it and they asked me questions. I gave them the information, and without a doubt, they whipped that estimate out in about an hour. And I couldn't believe it. It blew my mind. Blew my
That's
mind.
awesome. Wow. Yeah, no, that is one of those things, when you get a hold of the software and it's used to its full capabilities, it really is a mind-blowing thing. Especially when it's done, sort of on the spot. Right. And so yeah, that's really cool. And it's cool to hear a little bit about your journey, coming into it as well. And so we can dive straight into sort of talking about features and stuff like that. You obviously touched on the estimating piece there. Is that how big has the impact really been for you? What were you doing before, and then how has that changed your process now?
So another point I'd like to add is, so originally I was doing, it was a combination of Excel. Ultimately, I would output a PDF that was as professional as I could make it. The formatting was all done by myself, groomed over the years, but it was still like an Excel spreadsheet at the end of the day. Once I changed to Bolster or Call Certified, whichever you want to call it, the just the professional presentation and the detail, I think, is really what got customers, or what gets customers to pull the trigger quick. I've had numerous compliments like, man, you have a really robust, detailed estimate. These other guys are just giving, line item painting, drywall with a flat price, and these customers are kind of like, am I being taken advantage of? Um, because they don't know what that price consists of. When you can deliver an estimate that's detailed, broken down, labor, materials, and even deeper than that, taping, drywall mud, just hanging drywall. The customer, I think, appreciates it and it trusts you a lot more, outright as compared to the old way I was doing it.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, it's cool to hear just even the communication, right? Just communicating to the customer, the transparency that's going to build that sort of client trust, and getting down into really nitty-gritty details of line items. They can see what you're spending on. They can see, not necessarily, what your markup is, but also they can just see what each thing costs, and then also, potentially why you need those items as well. So yeah, that's amazing, man. And so tell us about
And
this job. Oh, sorry, go on.
And just this week, I really learned how to, I guess, customize the upgrading options. The example I'm going to use was some laminate flooring, and I wanted them to have the opportunity to upgrade to the water resistant and then the waterproof. There's like another millimeter per plank difference, and I like how it's presented, and it shows the price difference if they were to upgrade, and ultimately the options there if they want it. They don't have to take it, but the option's there. And I learned how to create those with Ryan this week, to where I can customize every single line item if I want to have options. And I haven't seen the true value in it yet, but I can just tell by the presentation and the way the client looks at the bid that it's impressive compared to what I was doing for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Big shout out to Ryan showing you optional stuff as well. No, it's awesome. And one of the things I want to touch on before we sort of get to the next question and talk about that big job that you've won was how has the customer support been for you? You mentioned, obviously that the teams obviously helped you get that estimate out, in an hour for a certain remodel job. But how's it sort of been, week to week, chatting to Ryan and the support that you've received,
I mean, I, I think I definitely put Ryan to work. I appreciate everything he does. It's been great. It's been better than I could have ever anticipated. The system that I really like is I'll send a question to Ryan, and as long as I didn't send it in 2 seconds and it's a clear question that he can actually understand, um, he will basically go into the estimate, my estimate, and he'll screen record the solution, which to me is great because I can go back when on my free time and I can actually run through it and learn on my own because I'm not a visual learner. I have to learn by doing. So when I can watch him do it and then do it myself, that's the key of me growing my own knowledge base and getting better at software.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And that's what we aspired to be, the custom support network and also just being specific about things. And then also, yeah, solving problems, not just like, t giving you the fish, but also teaching you how to fish, right? And so, yeah, no, we're super, super stoked to hear that. But yeah, I mean, getting into sort of a different question, but yeah, tell us about this big job that you've just won and how have you used Bolster to do?
Yeah, this big job was it's a set of townhomes. It's four of them, and I think it just really had a lot to do with whenever there was a line item change. And um I give you an example. Just say they were going between a three tab and architectural. I guess the ability to go in and change that shingle, which changes the price, which changes the entire bid, especially when you're talking about four units. It um it's just, I don't know, I think it sends a message to a customer. I think, I'm not 100% sure, that man, this guy really knows what he's doing. Now, I'll be honest, like I said, I don't have 30 years experience in the construction industry. I don't. But if I can, revise the estimate that quick and get it to the customer, um, it's, I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's rear.
No, I get you, man. You're totally right. Like any small change like that and turn it around quick, right? That usually be a way longer process. And yeah, no, being able to do that on the fly and then being able to see the price changes is really cool. I was also stoked that you've sort of used that to win this job. And I guess when it comes to estimating the spreadsheets, one part, obviously the preview and the presentation is another part of it. You just mentioned change orders. Is there anything else that you use Bolster for that's sort of made a really big impact on the project management side or anything?
I have another estimate example for you, just because, again, it's made a huge difference. And I did the estimate this morning, and it was a customer who wanted their brick home, the exterior of their home painted. And so I got their address. I got all the information that I needed, and the customer asked, "When do you plan to come on by?" And I said, "Well, I mean, if you want me to come by, I can, but I don't need to." And the idea is, I go to Google Earth, And all I do is I take those dimensions, and I've done this with roofing also, and it's never failed me. I'll just measure the dimensions from Google Earth. I'll take that and I'll plug all those into the takeoff aspect of Bolster, and there I have my estimate. 10 minutes, and the customer had an estimate, and I'll hear from them tomorrow. And I didn't have to actually drive to the customer's house. Now, if I get the sense that the customer wants me there, I'll go. I'll go. But this particular individual didn't mind it being done that way. Matter of fact, he was sending me pictures, even though I said I could pull the information off of Google Earth. So he was fine with it, and I'm pretty confident I'll land that job also.
That's really cool. Yeah, and even just being able to do that, even if you plan to visit them later, right? If you just do that initial estimate first, you get them at least a ballpark figure, right? And then it's like, man, this guy knows his stuff. He's come prepared, right? To when you are doing that. So have you kind of, how much time do you think you would spending meeting customers and taking measurements and doing all that before? And then what's the process like now? You just doing that stuff at home, whether it comes by email or by.
So I'm not just doing the Google Earth aspect. It depends on the scope of the job. That one was an exterior. I knew I could pull those dimensions from Google Earth. I do combine Bolster with another app called Magic Plan, and the reason I use Magic Plan is just it gives me the ability to walk through a house whenever somebody wants to do an entire remodel, take photos, which I can recall our conversations easier, and it ultimately does it measures all of the rooms and creates a floor plan. So I have everything I need to plug into Bolster, and I can always reference it. So I don't have to pull out a tape measure at all. And it just makes everything super streamlined. And I can definitely, like I said, whip out these remodel estimates substantially quicker using those two. But again, the without Bolster, that's the end product. I want to be clear. That's the end product. And I couldn't imagine doing one of these remodel estimates my old school way. Just because, oh man, I don't know how long that would take. I mean, that would probably take just acquiring the information for the estimates. I would say the old way, 4 to 5 hours. This way, 30 minutes. And that's not even the preparation of the estimate. That's just acquiring the information.
Yeah, that's wow, that's crazy. That's a big increase or a big improvement on your time saved. And it means you can just pump the estimates out way quicker, right? You're doing it at home, doing it from your computer,
Right.
then it can get to much more. And that also means like you're gonna win way more jobs, right? So I think that's something we want to touch on and what we want other contractors to experience as well. And talking about winning jobs on that aspect, what's some of the feedback you've received, just on the presentation side of.
And then, yeah, that's so I had mentioned that earlier. It's just extremely professional. And I have had the elderly who have had, say, difficulties in navigating web-based estimates, but when I do still print the estimate out and I put it in their hand, even then, the way it's formatted, to me, it's easy to read. The detail, I try to fill as many details in as possible in my description, and just I'll even go as far as just the way the bold and the font colors. You have like a gray versus a black. It just really makes it eye friendly, and it makes it easier to read. And I haven't had a customer say this is confusing. I haven't had that happen yet. Just because at the end of the day, you have a category, a subcategory with a few line items, etc. Um, that's
Cool, man.
yeah.
That's really great to hear. Um, and yeah, no, again, communication is a big part of it. And so when it comes to, starting jobs, obviously you said you've got additional software as well that you probably use, but have you got a handle on any of the project management stuff, like scheduling and material and budget lists and things like that? Has that been something that's part of your process?
So I brought that up to Ryan this week. Um, I had said something. I tried. I gave the scheduling a shot. The problem was my catalog was destroyed, which initially what I was doing was I was pulling objects before I knew how to create them well. I was pulling objects, whatever it may be, and I was duplicating them, and I would just customize what I could see. I didn't realize the submenus that I was overlooking. So, for example, my painting ended up in decking and stuff like that. So I met with Ryan early in the week, and I had said, "Hey, I'd like to get a better hand on the scheduling." And he pointed out what I was doing wrong in my little subcategory. So even last night, I was going to my schedules from upcoming jobs, seeing what was out of whack, and I was starting to dial all those in so I can start utilizing it more, because I think the schedule is important, especially if the customer can actively view it. Um, I've had a customer request it and I had it right, maybe say one time, and he thought it was great, especially that I can update it. I can on the fly change things and it'll reflect on the calendar. As far as the budget materials, it was kind of the same thing. It was getting categorized incorrectly, which is my fault. I have taken a look at it and I do plan to use it, because I know sometimes when I'm going to make my orders, if I have a list of everything I need, that's going to make it a lot easier for me to do the ordering, especially when I'm using 4 different vendors as compared to my system now, which is still in the works.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes sense, man. Yeah, that's another thing. Again, it's a little bit of a setup when it comes to doing it, and then also getting in the habit of creating all the right objects and doing all the right stages and all that thing. But again, it sets you up kind of like the estimating side. Once it's set and forget, and then you've kind of got that for good, right? So yeah, we want to set up contractors, doing that. And then I also wanted to talk about payments as well. Is that something that you've sort of looked into with Ryan?
So that's another thing. So if there's a button there, I can promise you I've clicked it, because I'm always curious and I want to learn how it works. So I have set up, I've gone into payments. I have used the payments, as far as just logging actual payments made. As far as utilizing the having the bank account connected to the system, I have done that, but I think I'm missing something, and I need to get with Ryan on it. There's some little detail that I've missed or I didn't activate that's preventing me from being full blown accepting payments through Bolster. Um, that is the goal. That is the goal, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. No, yeah, we'll definitely have to, schedule another session with Ryan. Hopefully, Patrick is aware on top of it, is what he said, which is fantastic. Obviously the invoicing tool and all of that will be something that Ryan can show you. I'm really excited to get you on board with that. But let's switch gears back to sort of to estimating, and I guess like you've been with Bolster for about a year, you said. Do you think in that time it's shown the value for money that you were sort of.
Oh yeah, I do. I do. And I just want to note another thing, because I really appreciate this. In the beginning, whenever I was, I had went through the tutorial with the guys, they walked me through an estimate. What they ultimately did was they were able to give me cost certified for no charge. The add-on to help with everything going on, to kind of help me just present the best bid possible to up the revenue, to eventually get to the point where it's not a problem to pay for it. I mean, there's other softwares that cost more. I do think it's fair, once you can learn, if you have the time to learn it and use it, it's absolutely without a doubt worth it, and the value is there. It's just, if this is the learning curve, which would happen with any software out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. There's a certain level of commitment that you need to give into the software as well to give it a proper go, right? And we want to make it as smooth as possible when it comes to everything that we do across the software. Obviously, the sales and estimating part is the main feature, and that's the thing that a lot of contractors like yourself focus on. But no, at the same time, like it's really good to hear as well that like it's good value for money, and that you've definitely seen that return on investment as well. And so I guess like when it comes to, and let's talk about a little bit about the future. Do you think it's given, the software has it sort of given you a stepping stone to then reach further heights, right? Grow the business. What's the dream of this business that you've got right now, and how is Bolster going to help you achieve?
It's so I have the license to be a general contractor, so I'm heading towards home building. Is the entire idea, and more home building, less remodeling. I'm going to do what I have to do now for sure, no problem. But at the end of the day, that's where I want to end up. And I mean, how it's going to help is the fact that, and this, I already have a template saved because I've bidded whole home builds already. That I can just go into those homes and just change the takeoff numbers, and that's it. I have a completely different estimate customized to this particular individual by entering takeoff numbers, and that's how it should be. You shouldn't have to add a line item every time. Your templates are relatively the same. You remove what you don't need. If they don't have a fireplace, that's great. But you're just entering the takeoff numbers, and bam, spits out a bid, and that's the true goal. That's the true goal.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. I mean, we want to help our contractors grow, and that's certainly part of it. And if you can even bid on bigger stuff and bigger jobs and work with more vendors and things like that, then that's definitely something that's on there. And then when it comes to the platform as well, is it just yourself using it, or do you have like an estimator on there as well, or you just doing
It's
everything?
just me. Yeah, it's just me. It's just me. And I guess to even take it further, it's really customizable to whatever you would like. And the example I'm going to use is, for a little while I used to cut trees. So if I have a customer call, I can literally still go in Bolster and I can put together an entire tree cutting quote, pruning, whatever it may be, stump grinding, all in that one spot. So it definitely is built for construction, but you can bid anything you want.
We actually had a customer that has a flooring business, but they also have a catering, like a taco catering
Oh,
business.
yeah,
And so he actually bid on a catering job with all different kind of meats and offered different kind of packages when it came to catering as well. And so
perfect.
it's really interesting to hear that you're still doing the tree stuff as well. You could still just sort of get a template for that out as well. That's really cool to hear, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, honestly, this has been really, valuable. I think, I guess well, we got one last question, which would be, if a contractor was to come to you and say, hey, I needed an estimating platform or I need an all-in-one software, what would you tell them about Bolster and how would you sell it to
I would ask them if they have some time, some free time, because I would have to sit down and thoroughly explain. I don't think I can just, I can't pitch it in a few minutes. I would have to literally summarize what we talked about earlier, but go through the bullet points of how I found it, how I found you guys. And again, Ryan and his customer service, his response rate, all of that's excellent. But ultimately, I don't know. Why do I get excited why when I open up Google is it my homepage? Why is Bolster my homepage? Why do I get excited about it? That I would have to sit down and thoroughly explain that to somebody. But yeah, without a doubt, I mean, I'm sold for sure.
Yeah, love it,
I
man.
need a
No.
t-shirt though. I didn't get a t-shirt. I should have gotten a t-shirt by now. Right?
Yeah, 100. We can arrange that, man. We can 100%, do that. Do your polo, with the bolster there as
Hey,
well, and
that's what I
that'll be
wear. I
really
wear I
good.
wear a polo every day. That's perfect.
Okay, awesome. No, we'll definitely have to arrange that, man. No, we love hearing from customers. Yeah, do you have any other final comments? Anything you wanted to add? And also, is there anything that you think we could do better as well? Would love to hear that.
No, I mean, I think it's on the right track. I think at some point y'all switched from Bolster to Cost Certified. And I mean, I was impressed with how little there were, I don't know, glitches or errors, or every time that there was an issue, it was a user error. It wasn't something wrong with the actual platform. So the transition, something like that, I think is huge. I mean, the whole interface changed. And again, I'm sure each line is developing further and is only going to get better. So I'm still like behind the eight ball, trying to learn and wrap my mind around everything. So I haven't gotten to the point where I can say, "Oh man, you could do this better, that better." I'm still trying to master what's available, and I think that's also huge for me because it's kind of like the ball's in my court, right? I can go and learn how to use the tool as much as I want because I'm just not there yet. And I think that's always a huge thing for myself because at the end of the day, I can't blame anybody but myself. So I need to go out there and learn it until I'm an expert. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and hopefully, giving you the resources available, and also Ryan, obviously your CSM, to be able to achieve that too. So really, really, yeah, stoked to hear that, man. But no, thank you again for your time, and for just talking to us about how you're using the system and everything. Really, really cool to just chat about estimating and chat about proposals as well. And again, congratulations on winning the big job, man. Love
No
it.
problem. Thank you. Thank you very much.